Hey, what's good, guys? Clutch Entertainment here, back with another video. And for today's video, we're going to be talking about the Houston Texans. And I think it's time for the Houston Texans to make a move. Now, their Super Bowl window, it's slowly starting to open up. You have a top 10 quarterback on a rookie contract. You have an elite left tackle in place. You have your franchise edge in place. You have your franchise cornerback in place. You have franchise pieces all over the field. And now, when you look at the Chargers, for example, they kind of tried to make a team around Justin Herbert when he was still on his rookie contract, and ultimately they failed to really do anything with it. But, I mean, on paper, it actually looked like a really good team. I mean, they added Khalil Mack. They signed J.C. Jackson to be their franchise cornerback, but we all know how that went. They added some pieces on offense. They retained Eckler. They did a lot of things. They drafted Quentin Johnson, of course. We all know how that one went too. But then you look at the Dolphins, for example, as well. They drafted Tua. They had him on a rookie contract. They traded for an elite top 5 wide receiver in Tyreek Hill. They added Jalen Ramsey. They added some other pieces. You look at the Eagles. They added A.J. Brown in a trade, another probably like a top 6, top 7 wide receiver in the NFL. They drafted a wide receiver in Devontae Smith. They added talent all across that team. And now we're entering that phase of, I don't really want to say rebuild anymore, because the Texans, they're simply not in a rebuild anymore. They just made the playoffs. They just won the division. They should be division favorites for next season. So I don't want to say they're rebuilding anymore. But during this phase, I guess, of the team building, or I guess team building is the right phrase to say. So at this point in that team building period, the Texans need to start adding talent. And I mean superstar talent. Not just free agents like they've added the previous years. Like, of course, you can add your Denzel Perrymans, your other guys. Who did we add? Sheldon Rankins, guys like that. You can add those type of guys to be filler positions. But I think we're in a period in time of where you need to go out and add a couple of big names, whether that be via trade, via free agency, making a move up in the draft. You need to start adding those type of guys. And I think there's a guy Houston could very much look into. Now, me personally, I wouldn't be too much in favor of this move if it costs more than like a 3rd-round pick, I think. But this player is Stefon Diggs. Now, Stefon Diggs, and when you hear the term 3rd-round pick, you probably think it's going to be unlikely. But I mean, when you look at Stefon Diggs, let's look at him for a second. He's already 30. He's going to be 31 around, I think, mid-season next year. So he's going to be 31 by the end of next season. He's on a pretty big deal. I think he's going to earn $24 million just in this season alone. $24 million. That's a lot. Now, Stefon Diggs, he is an elite receiver. He's a top 6, top 7 wide receiver. He's up there. He can help. He could really help an offense. He could really help a team. He can do a lot for your team. But I'm just not sure. I want to give up a premium asset for a 30, soon to be 31-year-old wide receiver making $24 million a year. I'm just not sure I will do that. Now, if it costs a 3rd-round pick or anything lower, like maybe if it was a package of a 3rd-round pick and a 5th-round pick for next year, okay, I'm fully on board. But if we're talking a 2nd-round pick, maybe even a 1st-round pick, I'm not even considering it, really. But there are some pros and there are some cons. There's some positives and negatives to adding Stefon Diggs. Now, first off, let's talk about the positives, the pros. Now, obviously, there's a lot of those. He brings elite wide receiver play. He's really good friends with Tank Dell, actually. Him and Tank Dell have a great relationship off the field. They've worked out together. They've trained together. It seems like they have a good professional relationship as well. I mean, not professional relationship. They have a good off-the-field relationship as well. Like, just in terms of being boys. I mean, they're friends. They hang out off the field. And it looks like C.J. Stroud, actually, he started becoming friends with Stefon Diggs at the Pro Bowl as well. They were seen taking pictures together, throwing a lot together. I mean, obviously, they're on the same Pro Bowl team. But, like, the Texans media team and C.J. Stroud even, they kept posting stuff about them throwing to each other, stuff like that. Even in an interview during the Super Bowl weekend, C.J. Stroud was given an interview, and he was asked which players did he really, I guess, grow a relationship with, talk to a lot, hang around with a lot. And C.J. Stroud mentioned Stefon Diggs. He also mentioned Derrick Henry, but the first name he mentioned was Stefon Diggs. Now, I don't think there's anything I guess, like, around that. And he's just saying that. I mean, yeah, he hung around with him a lot. He became friends with him. I don't think he's saying that because he necessarily I'm sure he would want Houston to trade for an elite wide receiver, but he's just saying that. But there are a lot of positives of him joining this offense. He can do a lot of more things. There's necessarily wouldn't be a wide receiver one in this offense because you have 3 different skill sets of wide receivers. You have Nico Collins, who's going to be that big body, that guy who's just going to need the ball in his hands, run people over, make stuff happen after the catch. That guy that you throw deep balls to in aggressive scenarios. You need a jump ball, you give it to Nico Collins. You're like at the 5-yard line, you want to do a fade, you give it to Nico Collins. You have Nico Collins for that certain aspect. And then you have Tank Dell, another guy, to get the ball in his hands, let him do magic. Do jet sweeps with him, do screens with him, do all these quick little thingies to get the ball in his hands. And let's not forget, Tank Dell's also a great route runner. He's a great player, very, very, very explosive, very dynamic. So we have Tank Dell for that type of aspect. And then Stefon Diggs, he's more of the natural route runner. Put him on a quick out, put him on a little post, put him on little things like that. And 9 out of 10 times he's going to be this man. So he's a very crafty route runner. I think he's really good with the ball in his hands too. And then I think another thing that would help us in terms of the future of the team is having John Mechie being your wide receiver 4. Now, John Mechie, I don't want to say he had an underwhelming start to his career in Houston because, of course, he did go through that treacherous time in his life, not even in his career, in his life. I mean, that was a very scary moment for him. So just for him to be able to get out on the field at all, I mean, it was great to see for him. But I think it's time for us to see a little bit more from John Mechie. And assuming John Mechie's probably going to end up being the wide receiver 4 on this offense regardless, if we get Stefon Diggs or not, because I think we are going to add a wide receiver, whether it is in the draft or a semi-premium free agent like a Gabe Davis or something. But regardless, if we were to add Stefon Diggs, I think that John Mechie's going to be the wide receiver 4. But having Stefon Diggs to learn from, I think would help John Mechie a ton. Because during the draft process, when we drafted him, I recorded a video, and I mentioned that Stefon Diggs that John Mechie kind of reminded me of Stefon Diggs in a way. Both are similar sizes, similar heights, similar speeds. They ran similar 40 times, and I think they kind of have a similar game. I mean, they're both kind of route runners. Obviously, Stefon Diggs is the far superior wide receiver, the far better one, obviously had the better career. He's older. But I think Stefon Diggs is a pretty solid, I guess, not compliment. I guess he's a solid comparison to what John Mechie can somewhat kind of be, the style of player. And having Stefon Diggs there, where John Mechie's going to sit back, be the wide receiver 4, not really be counted on too much. He's going to be in on plays, especially in the run game, being that blocker. He's a very good run blocker. But having to learn from Stefon Diggs, I think, would really, really help kickstart John Mechie's career. He essentially had to learn how to play football again. Now, I don't want to say, I don't know if that's the best term to use, but he definitely had to learn some things again because after going through treatments and stuff, his body just isn't the same. So he's still getting acclimated to the game of football again, learning to take hits. So having to learn from Stefon Diggs and better his game from Stefon Diggs being around the Texans facility, training camp, practices, day in and day out, I think that would really, really help John Mechie as well. But then again, there are a lot of cons to Stefon Diggs. I mean, for one, his age. I mean, he's not crazy old. It's not like he's 33, 34, but he is going to be 31 after next season. How many years does Stefon Diggs have left of being elite? Maybe 3? Maybe 4 absolutely max? And I'm not even sure if he will be elite for that last year. But I think max 3 to 4 years. And when you add in to the value that the Bills would want in a trade for him, I think the Bills would at least want a second-round pick. I think they'd preferably want a first, but nobody's going to give him a first. I mean, no team in the right mind, in the right sanity, is going to trade a first-round pick in this current day and age for Stefon Diggs when this receiver class is supposed to be pretty good. I mean, yes, Stefon Diggs, he's a proven guy, but when you can get a guy in the first round, young, rookie contract, explosive, new day and age NFL type of guy, I think most NFL teams, if not all, are going to choose that over Stefon Diggs, who is aging, who does kind of have a temper problem. I'm not gonna say he has bad locker room traits, but it's not like he's the best innocent little saint there is in the locker room. I mean, he does have his moments. He does have his moments of frustration, which is understandable. You're a wide receiver. You want the ball. You know the differences you can make in the game. But I don't know. There's just some things about Stefon Diggs that I wouldn't be too in favor of. But if it's a third-round pick, I think I could get under it. He's still an elite receiver. He would really help CJ Stroud. He has a great relationship with Tank Dell. Seems like he became friends with CJ Stroud during the Pro Bowl. So, I mean, there's that. But for me personally, if it's for a third-round pick or anything lower, like a third and a fifth or something like that, I'm for it. But if it's anything more than a third, I'm not even really going to consider it. I think he does bring a lot of good, but I think the bad kind of outweighs the good. The bad being mixed in with the age, the contract, different stuff like that. And when you could just use a second-round pick or even a first-round pick on a wide receiver who would be on a rookie deal, be 8-9 years younger than Stefon Diggs, I think I would rather do that than trade premium asset for Stefon Diggs. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I mean, I feel like it's a very fair question to ask. I don't feel like it's a very unrealistic thing to happen. I mean, Stefon Diggs, it's been rumored that he probably will get traded, or at least there's a chance that the Bills talk trades for him. So, I mean, I don't think it's a very unrealistic thing to do, a scenario to have, a talk to have. But yeah, let me know what y'all guys think down below in the comments. It's been Clutch Senior Entertainment, and I hope you guys have a good day. Peace.